Hey everybody, Alberto here, back with another video for you guys. This time we're talking first beat tactics on how to best tackle the first part of a sailing race. The first beat can be a daunting task, especially if you had a bad start. It's tough, but very possible to come back from a bad start. However, that takes speed and smarts. So what we're gonna do in this video is to break down the first beat so you can understand what you need to do across this section of the course. Because as with everything in sailing, you're anticipating and working to maximize your gains to take advantage of what's coming next. This is a helpful diagram that I use to describe the first beat and the goals in each section of the race. And as in building a pyramid for real, you need to be laying a strong foundation to build the next section. In this case, the foundation for the first beat, and in some respects the overall race, mainly your first beat is your start. The start is absolutely key to a good race, and setting up in the position with speed in order to get into the course as fast as possible are the groundwork for a successful first beat. Using football as an analogy, at the beginning of the game, the idea is to get the ball far across the other side of the course so it will be easier to get to the goal. In sailing, generally speaking, the point of winning the start is to get to the first shift on the course after the start, in first place, aka winning the first shift. You need to be good at identifying, approaching, and keeping your spot on the line. If you're not able to approach the line at the appropriate time, you risk being pushed to the non-favorite side of the line, which will leave you out of the first shift. Remember, the point of the start is to win the first shift. This is what will set you up to sail in phase. That is, sailing on the lift attack with the shifts. It's important to anticipate your next move after the start because, again, that is what will allow you to sail in phase and win the first shift in order to gain vertical distance to the mark. This is where the concept of the first beat pyramid is going to help you to break down the priorities across the course and formulate a plan. Now, this is not 100% applicable to 100% of your races. This is just a handy guide on how to think about your priorities on the first beat after the start. What tends to happen if you do not have a solid plan for your first beat is that you make mistakes early, get caught by the fleet, and have to tack out and find a clean lane. All of this is to say your priority after the start is to sprint upwind with all possible speed. Why? Giving yourself as much vertical distance to the mark removes the chances of the fleet passing you and putting yourself in a covered position. Here is where concepts like leverage and ladder rungs are going to come into play. I recommend watching our 10 golden rules video to familiarize yourself with some ideas and concepts that you should be carrying to make your race easier. Now, how do you avoid getting caught by the fleet? That is with speed and with some tactics. That also means not tacking off the line unless you absolutely have to. It's easy to get lost in the traffic and get shot out to the non-favorite side because this happens for two reasons. We forget how to stay in phase and we put ourselves in wind shadows of other boats. Here again, the first beat pyramid concept comes in handy. If your focus is to sprint off the line and get into the course, that means you're probably sailing faster than most of the fleet, and if you did a good job at the start, you'll be well positioned on the favorite side of the course to tack onto the shifts and sail the lifts. If we use the analogy of football again, you should be dedicating this portion of the first beat to making short passes, staying in phase, and trying to sail the lift attack to keep yourself between the mark and other boats. This area of the beat is where crossings are the most common as the fleet converges into the middle of the course. Whenever you are caught in traffic, it's important not to panic and keep sailing in phase. This is what will get you sooner, not later, to the mark. You have to sail out of the traffic as best as you can and try to sail in an area where you have clean air and a clear lane without sacrificing all your vertical gains. Remember, every time you tack, you lose up to half your boat speed and up to 1 whole minute to accelerate up to proper upwind speed. Obviously, this depends on the condition. What helps me in this part of the pyramid is keeping a cool head and not letting mistakes I make affect my decision-making process. If you made a mistake, it's done. Time to work to come back from it and still sail the race. Don't be thinking about mistakes you made 5 minutes ago in the race because you need to be thinking about what's happening now and what you anticipate is going to come. Now, as you get closer to the mark, right about at the top third of the pyramid, we're getting closer to the first mark, and this is when you should be setting your priorities to preparing yourself for a great mark run. This means trying to keep your VMG for as long as possible, coming into the zone on starboard tack while factoring in current and other fleet positioning so you have a nice clean rounding and can shoot out towards the reach or downwind in a great position. One trick I like to use when I'm getting close to the mark is to scan around for the 10 or so boats around me to calculate how they will be approaching the mark. If I'm on starboard tack and I see more boats on the right side of my boat than the left, I'm probably on the wrong side of the course and I need to come back closer towards the right hand side. So the takeaway from this diagram and video is to start breaking down the different sections of the course into a way you can formulate a plan and have an easier time racing. Remember, you still need to factor in all the conditions, size of the course, and be able to sail in phase for any part of a plan to work, but this is a great mental exercise to help you manage your race, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned racer. If you have any questions on the first beat pyramid concept, let us know in the comments below, and thank you all for watching. This has been Alberto. See you next time.